Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pass from Ellie's Point. Now, before we get started, let me say, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video I ever drop. Now let's get to the point. So, before I tell you what this video is about, I do want to say congratulations to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on winning the Super Bowl. Congratulations to Tom Brady on his 7th Super Bowl. But speaking of Super Bowls, everybody wants to talk about Tom Brady or Joe Montana or Terry Bradshaw, all these guys who have multiple Super Bowl wins. Well, what about some of the guys who only have one? So in today's video, I compiled a list of the top 10 players who've only won one Super Bowl. Now, some of the way I compiled the list has to do with Super Bowl appearance and what they did in the Super Bowl and how legendary it was, and part of it has to do with their overall career in general. So this is my list. Some of it might be a little bit biased, some of it may not be. There's 21 different guys who've won one Super Bowl, so you guys can kind of take your pick and do what you want after the video. Let me know who you think's in the right spot, who you think's in the wrong spot. But let's get started. Number 10, Lynn Dawson from the Kansas City Chiefs. Lynn Dawson's career, he's thrown for 28,711 yards, 239 touchdowns, 183 interceptions, and 211 games. Now, Lynn Dawson is a legend when it comes to football. He played on a legendary team with a great offensive line, great running backs, great defense, but it all is orchestrated by the quarterback and his coach. He had a great coach to play for, and in his Super Bowl appearance, he threw for 183 yards. He really didn't throw any touchdowns. He had a couple interceptions in the game, but you know what? It doesn't really matter because he pulled it out. And the first time the Kansas City Chiefs have won since then was 1 year ago when they beat the 49ers. So just to think about how long it's been since the Kansas City Chiefs have won another Super Bowl is kind of incredible to think that the last quarterback to be on that team was Lynn Dawson to lead them to a Super Bowl. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's the way to go, Leonard. You done good, kid.
You know, I'm not a huge Lynn Dawson fan. You know, 9 and 10 were kind of hard to come up with, but from 1 through 8, it was kind of easy. So my number 9 quarterback, I'm going to go with Phil Simms of the Giants. Phil Simms, he had a pretty illustrious career, I would say. You know, one thing about doing these videos is I get to learn a little bit more about different players or people that I really didn't know much about. So Phil Simms threw for 33,462 yards, 199 touchdowns, and 157 interceptions in only 164 games, which is, it's a pretty decent career. But if you look at like Lynn Dawson, he had 211 games, so he had a little bit less time and he produced a little bit more. But that's also the era, a little bit more throwing. And in Phil Simms' Super Bowl, he threw for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the crazy thing about that is he only threw 3 incompletions and 2 of them were dropped passes. Now, Phil Simms is a Giants legend. He had a great career with the Giants. He's a broadcaster now, and I never really was a huge fan of Phil Simms, but when I started looking at some of the tape and how well he performed in his career, Phil Simms had a pretty good career. Number 8 for me is Johnny Unitas, man. That guy is, not only is he a Colts legend, he's just a legend in football in general. I mean, the guy looked like a damn drill sergeant.
You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you.
But I mean, was he pretty spectacular on the field? Johnny Unitas threw for 40,239 yards, 290 touchdowns, 253 interceptions in 211 games. 40,000 yards back then is quite a bit. He did play for a really long time, and he played till he was pretty old, up there in age. But you got to look at it as, Johnny Unitas, he was just a tough guy. That was when they were the Baltimore Colts. That's when they were the Baltimore Colts. It was a lot harder for you to beat that team. They were just comprised of so many great guys. They had a great defense. They had Bob Mackey, obviously Johnny U. Johnny U's Super Bowl, he only threw for 88 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Now, part of the reason is he got banged up in that game and had to leave, but he still started the game, produced a touchdown, like an 80-yard touchdown. They were playing the Dallas Cowboys. It bounced off of a Colt wide receiver, bounced off of a Dallas Cowboys defender into the hands of Bob Mackey, who took it into the end zone. But the thing is Johnny Unitas had he played in a lot of NFL championships before they became the Super Bowl. So Johnny U's legend is a little bit bigger than it seems for the Super Bowl. Now, number 7, I'm going to go with Kurt Warner. And people probably wonder why I have Kurt Warner so low. As we get into these upper tiers, it's kind of hard to figure out who you're going to go with. And I liked Kurt Warner. I just put Kurt Warner a little low because he didn't play as long as some of the other people. Kurt Warner's rookie season, he was 27 years old. But still, had a great career. In Kurt Warner's career, he threw for 32,344 yards, 208 touchdowns, 128 interceptions in 124 games, which is pretty fantastic. I mean, he led the St. Louis Rams on the greatest show on turf with Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce. I mean, they had a pretty illustrious team, and they put in a lot of work. Now, to think at the beginning of that season, Trent Green was the starting quarterback for the St. Louis Rams. He gets hurt in the preseason. They have this rookie quarterback come in, and his first 3 games, he throws for 300 yards, and it's everything else is history. He becomes the MVP of the season. He becomes the MVP of the Super Bowl, and in the Super Bowl, he throws for 414 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Tennessee Titans, and it's, that season is a pretty good fairy tale story for a guy who wasn't even playing in the NFL at the time. So it is pretty cool how sports and football alone has some of those great storylines. Like, I really do enjoy that. Number 6, and people are probably going to think I'm a little crazy, but I did put Russell Wilson over Kurt Warner. Russell Wilson's career so far, he's had 33,946 yards, 267 touchdowns, 81 interceptions, and 144 games. I really like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, I think, is a phenomenal quarterback. He just won Walter Payton Man of the Year. I think he's a good person outside of sports, but I also think he's a great leader, and the way he treats his teammates. I think that's what really brings me in to Russell Wilson. I am a big fan of Russell Wilson. And in the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson threw for 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Denver Broncos, led by Peyton Manning. Now, would I have liked to see a little bit more from Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl? Would I may have put him higher because of it? Yes, probably. But Russell Wilson had one of the greatest defenses in the Super Bowl, and they just decimated Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning was old. You knew that he had lost a step. He lost the zip on his ball. That's the quickest I've ever seen a quarterback go from top tier all the way to bottom rung, player, because they benched him halfway through the year because he just basically sucked. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Russell Wilson's Super Bowl appearance and how well he played in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying it does help to have a great defense. Number 5. Number 5 is Steve Young. Steve Young has 3 Super Bowl rings, but he's only technically won because the other 2 he was a backup to Joe Montana. That's where that famous phrase, he finally got the monkey off of his back, comes. Steve Young probably had the best Super Bowl out of any of the quarterbacks on this list. But Steve Young in his career threw for 33,124 yards, 232 touchdowns, and 107 interceptions in 169 games. But his Super Bowl appearance, he threw for 325 yards and 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. I mean, Yeah, it helps having Jerry Rice on your team, but still, 6 touchdowns? That is incredible. Unbelievable. What a game. And I mean, the San Diego Chargers, I'm sure they were good, but still, 6 touchdowns is crazy in the Super Bowl. What a game Steve Young had. He becomes a Super Bowl champion. And I'm not a big fan of the 49ers. Never really have been, but good for Steve Young and great for sports to see something like that happen. Him finally being able to get a Super Bowl ring because he personally won it. And that's what this list is about. Because even Phil Simms has 2 Super Bowl rings, but he only technically won 1 Super Bowl. So in these top 4, some people are probably going to not like it so much because I did do something a little different. But number 4, I have Aaron Rodgers. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a freaking Bears fan till I die. I don't even care what they do. They trade for Carson Wentz and give away a first-round pick. I'm probably going to hate them. But guess what? I'm still going to be a Bears fan. And it's really, really hard for me to put a Green Bay quarterback in the top 5 players to only win 1 Super Bowl. But Aaron Rodgers is phenomenal, man. I've been watching him play for a long time. Aaron Rodgers, so far, he's not done yet, has thrown 51,245 yards, 412 touchdowns, and only 89 interceptions in 197 games. That is outrageous. Outrageous. He is like the best QBR in any quarterback's career, which is insane. And in Rodgers' Super Bowl, when they played the Steelers, he threw for like 263 and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Great game, Aaron Rodgers, man. And the thing about Aaron Rodgers is he could scramble out of the pocket. You can't really ever pin him down. He can throw on the run. He makes all kind of good throws. Hail Mary. You never know what the guy's going to do. He's an old school gunslinging quarterback, which I love. So I love Aaron Rodgers, and I got to give him respect. Unfortunately, I hate the Packers, and I hate that he's there. Now, number 3 is probably going to rub some people the wrong way. I put Joe Namath at number 3. Joe Namath has only thrown for 27,663 yards, 173 touchdowns, and 220 interceptions in 140 games. And you guys are probably saying, why? Why would you put him on there? He's had, an all right career, but nothing crazy. His touchdown to interceptions, his interceptions are higher. Why would you do that? Well, because Joe Namath saved football. That's a big deal. His legacy. That's right. His legacy is what puts him higher on this list, because if Joe Namath didn't win that Super Bowl, the NFL would not be what it is today without him, because the AFC couldn't beat the NFC. And they were just going to basically merge it all into one, and we wouldn't have what we have now. But since those New York Jets came in and they won and they took that championship, the Super Bowl continued, which is kind of crazy. I mean, even name this Super Bowl, he only threw for 206 yards. That's it. No touchdowns, no interceptions. But they won, and he guaranteed it.
I think we got a heck of a shot of winning. We'll beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
I know we're going to win. I have that attitude. I feel that way, and it's not overconfidence thing. It's football sense.
So that's a big deal. I think personally that is the reason why he's so high for me is the legend of Joe Namath. Now, I'm starting to make myself sick because number 2, we have another Green Bay quarterback. 2 Green Bay quarterbacks in the top 5. Come on, Angelo. I thought you said you were a Bears fan. I am a Bears fan. But fuck, who doesn't like Brett Favre? Brett Favre, amazing career. You watch him on the field, it looks like he's always having fun. He throws a touchdown, and he runs all the way down from the 20, all the way down to the end zone to celebrate with the receiver that he's throwing the touchdown. He's a kid, and he had a great time playing football, and you have to love it. You got to show him respect. Brett Favre in his career has thrown 71,838 yards, 508 touchdowns, 336 interceptions. and in 302 games. So on this list, he's played the most, which makes sense why he has so many touchdowns, so many interceptions, and so many yards. And in his Super Bowl appearance, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And like I said, man, Brett Favre, great quarterback. You know, I hated him being on the Packers because you got to play him twice a year. And, I mean, I personally think that Brett Favre should have won more. You know, everybody talks about Brett Favre as like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time because he has a lot of stats, but he's still up there as one of the guys who only won 1 Super Bowl. But this is where my bias comes in for the Packers, where I couldn't really put Favre over this person. I had to put Drew Brees as number 1. Drew Brees threw for 80,358 yards, 571 touchdowns, 243 interceptions in 287 games. So basically what I'm saying is he threw for more yards in less games, threw for more touchdowns in less games, and threw for less interceptions, almost by 100 in less games. And, you know, there's a possibility that Drew Brees isn't done. But in Drew Brees' Super Bowl appearance, he threw for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, another reason I like the fact of Drew Brees, and it probably is some of my Bear bias, is that he beat those Colts that the Bears had lost to. But I also think him being such a short person and being able to play for so long, and them saying, hey, you're too short to play quarterback, and the way he excelled at the quarterback position is a great story for Drew Brees. But one of the things I remember personally about Drew Brees and his story is when I was a kid, I was a big LaDainian Tomlinson fan. So I used to watch him growing up and tried to imitate playing in the yard as LaDainian Tomlinson. And I remember Drew Brees and him played together. And I remember at the end of the season, there was a fumble and Drew Brees dove for the ball with his arm stretched out and he tore up his shoulder. And they had said Drew Brees would never be the same again. He would never throw the ball the way he threw the ball, prior to his injury. And the San Diego Chargers decided to get rid of him, and he goes to the Saints and he, brings the Super Bowl there. I mean, granted it's only 1, but still after he tore his shoulder up, he still had a great career. Hall of Fame worthy for sure. And to me, the best quarterback to ever win 1 Super Bowl. You can argue it with Brett Favre. You can probably even argue it with Aaron Rodgers. But that's my list of my top 10. Who do you think's in the right spot? Who do you think's in the wrong spot? Who would you put in other positions? Is there a guy that I didn't put on the list that you would put on the list? Let me know down in the comments. But the video's over.
You like that? You like that?
But join me next week. We're going to try and do the top 10 guitarists of all time.